And thank you so much for that, Shavari Watson Rami. We do appreciate you. The time is now 6:54 in the morning. It's time for your Constitutional Minute. Did you know that according to the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Article 123 and Paragraph 2, the power vested in the Governor General by Paragraph 1 of this article shall be exercised by him on the recommendation of the appropriate Service Commission. Paragraph 3, the appropriate Service Commission shall not recommend to the Governor General that any award for which a person who holds or has held the office of a Justice of the Supreme Court or Justice of Appeal or Auditor General is eligible shall not be granted, or that any award payable to him shall be withheld, reduced in amount, or suspended on the ground that he has been guilty of misbehavior, unless he has been removed from office by reason of such misbehavior. And that was your Constitutional Minute. Bahamians everywhere, know your rights.
One thing there is no debate about is that PTC has the best rates. Now, the best rates just got better because you pay half the price of the other guys with your PTC home internet and mobile services combined. Switching to PTC.
This is the ZNS Network, providing radio and high-definition television services for the entire Bahamas. ZNS Network is operated by the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas. It is located at Harcourt Rusty Bethel Drive, Centerville, Nassau. Our programming is designed to inform, educate, and entertain. We invite you to join us.
The following is a preamble of the Constitution of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Whereas 481 years ago, the rediscovery of this family of islands, rocks and keys, heralded the rebirth of the New World. And whereas the people of this family of islands, recognizing that the preservation of their freedom will be guaranteed by a national commitment to self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding respect for Christian values and the rule of law. Now, know we therefore, we the inheritors of and successors to this family of islands, recognizing the supremacy of God and believing in the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individual, do hereby proclaim in solemn praise the establishment of a free and democratic sovereign nation, founded on spiritual values, and in which no man, woman, or child shall ever be slave or bondsman to anyone or their labor exploited, or their lives frustrated by deprivation, and do hereby provide by these articles for the indivisible unity and creation under God of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
It's Monday, March 21st, 2022, and the morning edition is live. On today's show, a new bridge opened in Abaco. We've got the latest on the royal visit. Bishop Walter Henschel is on the road to recovery. And Shanae Miller-Weibo wins another gold medal. So let's start the morning off right.
Edition is brought to you by We Buy You Sell Company, your leading hurricane impact windows, doors, and tile specialist.
The expert in everything was once a beginner. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning edition. I'm LaDawn Davis.
And I'm Desmond Sanders. LaDawn, I'm back with you again.
So happy to see you. I see you. You've lost a few pounds, looking dapper this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm doing my thing, doing what I need to do to stay healthy, stay fit. And Charles Fish is off this morning.
Yeah, he's still in birthday celebration mode. You know, his birthday was on Sunday. He turned the big 5-0 on Sunday.
5-0.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
so
an accomplishment.
He had a pretty good time.
That's a milestone. So soon he'll be able to apply for some senior.
Oh boy,
he'll be able to apply for some senior citizen benefits, right?
You think? Oh boy.
He's getting there.
Yeah,
5-0 is a milestone. But I'm glad to be with you, this guy. I know the morning carries a certain energy, and I love hanging out with you guys this morning. And it's good to see you back from some great things you've been doing.
Yes.
And we've got a great show. You had an opportunity to, but before we go into what we're going to be talking about, Will and Kate, preparations ongoing for Will and Kate.
I'm excited to see what they're going to, how Bahamians are going to welcome them to the Bahamas. It's exciting to see what they're going to bring.
Well, there's a whole lot of buzz all around, and I have an opportunity to speak with some police officials to talk about the itinerary, the setup, the security details, all of that. So there should be a whole lot of fun. A lot of people here at ZNS also preparing for that, the big 2 days, 3 days this week, so it should be very interesting. You had an opportunity also to speak to Bishop Henschel.
Yes, he's doing pretty well, considering, I guess he was out for 4 months due to surgery. Apparently he has 2 forms of cancer, so you'll hear about that a little later on in the show this morning. But he's on the road to recovery, doing very well, very well. So we must continue to pray for him as he continues on the road to recovery.
That's good, that's good. Yeah, a whole lot in store for us. And Shanae Miller-Weibo still making some headlines sports-wise and making some headlines internationally
Still bringing home the goals.
Still bringing home the goals, so we'll be hearing about that. And some great stories in the news this morning, but we're going to head in for traffic. I believe morning traffic, our morning traffic team. Crystal is standing by. Crystal, darling, good morning.
Good morning, LaDawn and Desmond, and good morning, Bahamas. We're here on Blue Hill Road, and we know that this is one of the areas in town that is always busy with traffic. And this morning, I'm here with Officer Patrick Kemp. Good morning, Officer Kemp.
Good morning, Crystal, and good morning, Bahamas. And I'm here.
Okay, so Officer Kemp, could you give us a brief overview of the traffic situation over the weekend?
Well, over the weekend, Crystal, we have had a very active weekend in terms of traffic crashes, and I'm still concerned when it concerns a lot of hit and run accidents that takes place on our street. And I want to encourage the drivers today again, please, when you get involved in an accident, remain on scene. Just in the area of Lower Soldier Road, there would have been a hit and run. The driver had to come out and ask the other driver, "What are you saying?" As if to say, "But you have a problem with me hitting your vehicle." And then made a decision to leave the scene. Thank God there was a concerned citizen who went behind that vehicle at a safe distance, were able to get make and model of the vehicle and license plate number. And it was an old Chevy Equinox vehicle, license plate number AQ7086. And I want to encourage persons like that gentleman to continue to be a good citizen and doing your duty in helping to bring these matters to a close. I have to say respect to that person. I don't want you to engage with these people but everybody has a duty to do their part in helping.
Okay. And suppose you're in a situation where there's a hit and run, you're left there on the scene, and you don't have a kind citizen who's helping you. What do you do then?
Well, again, you do not want to engage with these people, right? You don't know the nature and of what can happen at that time. But what I would say is gather as much information as you can, make, model, any distinct markings, damages of the vehicle, and most important, the license plate. You might say, hey, the plate doesn't belong to that vehicle. Leave that up to us, because somebody's name is registered to that plate, and we're going to get to the bottom of who is the owner or who is driving that particular vehicle.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Officer Kemp. But before we go, we know that we're having the royal visit this week, and there will be some changes to traffic routes. Could you talk to us about that?
Yeah, on Friday, the 25th, this Friday, please again mark it in your calendars and your planners, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. Frederick Street, Bay Street to Parliament Street will be closed. The only traffic will be downtown at that time is pedestrian traffic. All right, and from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m., Parliament Street to Shirley Street, Bank Lane, Bay Street, there will be absolutely no parking allowed from 4 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right, again, and we're going to say this every day. We don't want to hear no excuses, no complaints. This is not going, people. This is coming. So prepare for that day.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Officer Kemp. Back to you in the studio, LaDon and Desmond.
Well, thank you very much, Crystal. Taking a look now at your forecast. Staying on the outside, a weak cold front will slowly drift over the northwest and central Bahamas today. High pressure will build in its wake, ushering slightly cooler and breezy conditions across the area through tonight. The daytime high will reach 82 degrees Fahrenheit with an overnight low of 70 degrees. Here's a look now at your extended forecast.
Abaco Bridge was damaged during the passage of Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Residents can now boast of a new bridge that has a life expectancy of 75 years. Among those on hand for the opening was Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis.
This bridge was built Abaco strong because the terrifying reality of climate change means that the entire world expect to see storms like Dorian more and more frequently. Our structures must be built to withstand this new reality. This bridge represents just that. It spans 256 feet and is a single span with no piers in the waterway, eliminating the effect of pier washout and the weakening of the foundation during storms.
Intense investigations continue into weekend armed robbery. It was shortly after 8 o'clock Saturday night when police learned about a shooting incident at a residence on Southsop Street in Pinewood Gardens. Responding officers met a woman suffering from gunshot wounds. Initial investigations revealed that as the victim arrived at the residence, she was approached by two armed male suspects who demanded her blue Suzuki Swift. She then attempted to evade the suspects but was shot in the face. The suspects then fled the scene in the stolen vehicle. Authorities confirmed that the female victim is detained in hospital with her condition listed as guarded. If you have any information that can assist police, please contact 919, 911, or your nearest police station. Members of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force reflecting on the organization's history for the past 42 years as the organization assembled for its annual church service on Sunday at the Church of God Auditorium. The service came just 11 days shy of the force's March 31st, 1980 Founders Day. Minister of National Security, the Honorable Wayne Monroe, remembered the sacrifice made by officers aboard the HMBS Flamingo with a vow to honor the entire crew.
But as the National Honors Committee solicits nominations for honors, it is my intention to advance the entire crew of the HMBS Flamingo for their deserved national honor. In these remarks, I'm supposed to say that please be assured that the government will not take you for granted. If that application is favorably answered, I think that would be a demonstration that would go far, far, further than words ever could.
Meantime, 2 new COVID-19 cases reported in the latest health release by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Both are male residents of New Providence, pushing the country's total count to 33,221. COVID-19 hospitalizations still in the single digits at 7, with one of those cases in the intensive care unit. There are also 7 new recoveries, bringing that total to 32,154. Be prepared for more inconveniences in the Yellow Elder Gardens area this week as the Water and Sewerage Corporation begin a 6-week improvement project on Melbourne Road. Residents will experience water supply disruptions and detours due to road closures between the hours of 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. The corporation apologizes for any inconvenience caused and appreciates the residents and public support as repairs continue.
And when we come back, showing love for the disabled, so keep it locked.
For hurricane season, we got impact windows and doors. For protection, just come to our store. Plus we got tiles to pretty up your walls and your floors. We'll help you brighten up for that big bad storm. Porcelain tiles, blank tiles, mosaic tiles, a variety of styles. Before teens get right, they gotta be rough. That's why we got the best deals in the whole Bahamas. Hey, hey.
As an artist, I travel all over the world, and I find inspiration all around me. In the people, and especially the environment. I love the Bahamas with all its natural beauty. From Abaco in the north to Inagua in the south, and all the wonderful and colorful islands in between. But we must all do our part to keep the Bahamas healthy and clean, now and for the future generations. That's why I want you to find a little time to do your part. I'm doing my part because I care. Do you?
Well, just days to go before the arrival of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge to the Bahamas, the government and other officials continue vigorous planning to ensure the best of the country is showcased. This morning, Carla Palmer shares the official royal visit itinerary.
For years, tourism officials have been touting the slogan that it's better in the Bahamas. They are looking to convince a couple of British royals that it truly is. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Prince William and Kate, are scheduled to arrive here in country Thursday for a working trip. It's in celebration of Her Majesty's Queen Elizabeth II Platinum Jubilee.
It's going to be a spectacular time. And let me tell you, the Bahamian people will not be disappointed.
Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Jack Thompson, is one of 2 co-chairs responsible for the planning of events surrounding the royal visit. However, the final decision of the activities did not rest solely with the Bahamas team.
The recce team came from London, and we had a number of options that we considered for this trip. We looked at a whole list of options, but at the end of the day, because of the limited time, we could only put in so many, a limited number of activities.
The Duke and Duchess will arrive on Thursday afternoon at the Lynden Pendling International Airport to fanfare. The red carpet, says Thompson, will be rolled out.
There will be a royal salute, and you give them all the courtesies. They will proceed here to the office of the Prime Minister, where there will be the usual courtesies and exchange of gifts.
On Friday, they will be treated to a cultural show by students of Sybil Strawn Primary School. From there, it's on to the Garden of Remembrance, or the Cenotaph, where they will meet some frontline healthcare workers and volunteers active in the COVID-19 pandemic fight. Parliament Square is the next stop.
Parliament Square will be transformed into a cultural mecca like you've never seen before.
Once lunch is over, all roads will lead to Montague Harbour for the Queen's Jubilee Platinum Regatta.
They're going to compete against each other. The Duke and her in his vessel, she'll be in her sloop, and they're going at it.
That Friday evening, a black tie reception at Bahama will close out the evening.
On Saturday, their Royal Highnesses will travel to Abaco early morning, where they will see firsthand the damage of a church by Hurricane Dorian before traveling to Grand Bahama to visit a children's home. They will return to Nassau Saturday, and we will bid them farewell. Their Royal Highnesses will depart by late afternoon.
The voice of the voiceless Bishop Walter Henschel is battling cancer but is now on the road to recovery. For years, Bishop Henschel has been providing shelter for the homeless and hot meals for anyone who needs it. The morning team sat down with this man of God to hear how God healed him.
Just started feeling weak and fatigued and didn't know what was happening. You know, after working, long hours for 12-hour days for 35, 40 years.
It was these telltale health signs that forced Bishop Walter Henschel, on the advice of his son, to seek a second opinion at a North Carolina medical facility. After a slew of tests were administered, doctors revealed that not one but 2 forms of cancers were detected.
I spent the entire night there taking tests, and they admitted me in the hospital the next day. And the doctor, 3 days later, they diagnosed me with stomach cancer. And the doctor said I need to get on chemo immediately, and if I don't get any treatment, they give me 6 months to live. And they said that they needed to remove 2/3 of my stomach. I started the chemotherapy, and about 4 weeks later, the doctors called me in again and said that they discovered another cancer in my body on my kidney. It was a huge mass.
While lying on his deathbed, Bishop Henschel said he strongly believes that God had mercy on him while he underwent 9 hours of a life-threatening surgery.
And I lost 99% of my strength. I was literally a man laying on the bed dying. And bit by bit, I got my appetite back, and I was able to eat. I started to regain my strength. And I went from the wheelchair to a walker, to a cane, and now I'm able to walk by the grace of God. Doctors gave me 12 months to recover. The side effects of the chemo, it took a terrible toll on my body. I mean, like every symptom I had, my palms turned black. I had hiccups I couldn't control. I was bleeding. I had nosebleeds.
Bishop Henschel thanked his family, his strong support system, who prayed and provided non-stop financial assistance for his full recovery.
Wow, amazing story there, LaDawn. Bahamians from all walks of life gathering on Saturday to show the love. That phrase, a theme of the Social Services Department's community event geared towards raising awareness and increasing socialization for persons with disabilities. The Ministry of Social Services collaborated with the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities for the Fun Day. Deputy Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, Counselor Roberts, says this is just one of many initiatives on their agenda.
This is just a stepping stone of what the ministry is about. End of the day, the Ministry of Social Services is in urban development. It's about dealing with all social issues. The National Commission is a part of that ministry. And in that ministry, and specifically disability, our job is to help to create policies to make life better for persons with disability, to give them the same equal opportunities that you have or anybody else with.
Well, members of the Urban Renewal Revolutionized Band wowing the crowd at the Show the Love event on Saturday. It's a multi-community band featuring young musicians between 7 to 18 years old from urban renewal centers across New Providence. Now, while many of the members have only been performing for a few months, their show-stopping performance would tell you they're already pros.
Another memoir hitting the local market last week, copies of Chasing Down a Bonefish, authored by Reverend Alan Strawn, were recently presented to Prime Minister the Honorable Philip Davis, Education, Technical and Vocational Training Minister the Honorable Glenys Hannah Martin, and Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Public Works and Utilities, Bacchus Roll. Reverend Strawn, who retired in 2017 as a civil servant of 47 years, served as Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Services under the leadership of the then Minister Melanie Griffin. Labeled a man of integrity, the autobiography highlights Strawn's life from humble beginnings in Exuma, his civil service journey, as well as his family and pastoral life. Former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Hubert Ingram, made the rounds last week to promote his book, I Say What I Mean, and I Mean What I Say. The 1,000-page compilation of speeches he made in his public life covers an array of topics from politics to human rights. And this morning, Jimonita Swain speaks with the women working behind the scenes.
Volume 1 really provides an overview of the political life of Hubert Ingram, beginning with his role in the Progressive Liberal Party and then his movement into the Free National Movement following the drug years. What I tried to do is to collect speeches and commentaries by him over the breadth of his public life.
M. Teresa Butler has worked with former Prime Minister Ingram for a number of years, serving as the permanent secretary in the office of the Prime Minister, so she had a unique insight that aided in the compilation of his first book. The one thing of the man who served more than 3 decades in public life she observed was this.
Mr. Ingram had a strong conviction about telling people what he wanted to do, explaining to them as he was doing it what was happening, and accounting after. And he said that to us in his office repeatedly. And I think this book will demonstrate his real commitment to transparency, to accountability, and to, in the case of government, accounting to the people.
Butler provided the commentary in Volume 1 that's soon to be officially released to the public. Assisting in the compilation of speeches was well-known local and international author Patricia Glinton McCollis, who explained that the book covers more than just the Bahamas.
I think that the Bahamas is the world. That is good. But our politics, our development is very much influenced by what takes place in our region, moving out to the world itself. And so, especially the chronology, we focused on showing what was happening in not only in the Bahamas, but around the Caribbean region, the Americas, and the wider world. And so this is what makes it very useful as a reference text.
Guanima Press Limited published this first of 3-volume collection with Ingram's memoirs to follow. As for how the editing process unfolded with such a powerful force of a man,
Mr. Ingram did not seek to influence what my commentary was. I allowed him to see them, and he made his comments on them, and he might have made some suggestions, but the commentary was going to be my commentary.
There was no clash because he's shown great respect to us. After all, why bring anybody in if you're going to say what you're saying is nonsense, this is what I want? Not at all. It was a very harmonious relationship, certainly between the two of us and with Mr. Ingram.
And as we head to the break, we take a look back at today in Bahamian history. On March 21st, 1946, playwright, producer, and songwriter Kayla Lockhart Edwards was born in Duncantown, Ragged Island. Also on this day in 1951, organized wrestling was brought to Nassau for the first time, with action taking place at the Hobby Horse Hall.
With today's lesson. Bobby, can you tell me the national bird of the Bahamas?
Miss J, we can't hear Bobby because he's fooling around with the other guys.
All right now, y'all settle down. That's okay, Bobby. I'll have a talk with your mom. It's time to transform the way you learn.
Transform the way you learn and improve your in-home Wi-Fi coverage with Eero.
Well, a banner day for the Bahamas and Belgrade, Serbia on Saturday as 2 of our top track and field athletes prove why they're among the best in the world. Olympic gold medalist Shanae Melawibo added to her massive trophy case by winning gold in the women's 400 meters at the World Indoor Championships. Now, Shanae got a good lead on the field at the start and used her strength to carry her home in a time of 50.31 seconds. Well, not to be outdone was Devon Charlton. She became the first Bahamian woman to medal in the 60-meter hurdles at the World Indoors. Charlton took silver in a Bahamian national record time of 7.81 seconds. Congratulations to both ladies on a job well done.
Andros is the #1 bone fishing destination on our planet. Sports fishermen visit our flats every year to participate in one of the most fulfilling outdoor activities known to man, fly fishing. And guess what? It's 100% sustainable. Without areas like the west side of Andros, sustaining this industry would be absolutely impossible. So let's take care of nature, and nature will take care of us.
If it's one thing that came out of the pandemic, it's an increased number of young entrepreneurs betting big on themselves and taking risks. This morning, Anthony Smith introduces us to a young Bahamian designer who's making some big waves.
Marked and measured, machine sewn, handcrafted. Before a finished piece can look like that, it starts something like this.
I just have some ideas. I write them down. I draw them up.
Meet Tanika Gibson, the young and gifted mind behind new business Calabash Resort and Swimwear. It's a concept that came to the 2020 graduate at the height of the pandemic.
I graduated and I came back home and I just needed to find a way, to work and express myself during that time as well. I was talking to my cousins and they were just like, oh, why don't you just sew swimsuits? And in my head, I was thinking, swimsuits, but then it made sense. Like, I live in the Bahamas.
That was in 2021. A conversation had 4 months before her initial June launch. Fast forward 10 months later, and the brand has taken off. An overnight success that isn't as easy as you think. The finished piece is the result of sketching patterns upon patterns, hours in the training room testing sizes, shapes, and colors.
Color-wise, you just have to try out that same pattern that you corrected with the right measurements. You just try it out. It's just a matter of trying and trying and trying until you get the perfect piece. And it is so exciting, like when you finally reach that point where you're like, wow, this swimsuit is so perfect.
And almost 500 Instagram followers would agree. Simply the beginning for the young designer who's determined to make a big splash.
I think that this is something that I was meant to do. I know like everyone has their talents and their gifts. I think I definitely found mine. And I think eventually like I'll be really big and have overwhelming amounts of support.
Tanika's newest collection is set to drop in May of 2022. Almost 1 year to the date her labor of love first launched.
Well, here's an interesting story for you. Caves are filled with history, and this morning our Crystal Darling visits a 125-year-old park to find out more about how people living in the Bahamas in the years gone by would have interacted with these caves. Take a look.
Many, many years ago, when sea levels were 25 feet higher than they are today, these unique cave systems were formed. Located here in New Providence, this is the wondrous evergreen landscape of the primeval forest. Bahamas National Trust Park Warden Christophe Francois talks about the people who mastered navigating through this deeply embedded limestone cave system.
What's important historically is that we are actually entering a system that has been in place or been utilized for the past 150 years. The inhabitants of Adelaide, which is one of the oldest liberal African villages in the archipelago, would have actually used this exact same path to travel between Adelaide and Clifton and back. That's the historical aspect of this forest and the historical importance.
And there were several activities that took place in these underwater stained caverns.
The historical importance of sinkholes in general across the archipelago that traditionally we've actually used them for farming. In fact, they are called banana holes because we would have planted banana trees in them, also mango trees, citrus trees, etc. And that's the historical importance of these holes to our culture. But even if you want to go further back, the Lucayans have used these holes for burial grounds, not in a specific park, but throughout the archipelago.
And here's how the caves developed.
The sinkholes that you see in this park, they form an elaborate or extensive cave system, which means that each sinkhole is a part of the cave system per se. All right, so the difference between these holes and the other holes that you would see across the world is that some of these holes are formed by water slowly eroding rock from underneath, the more larger ones that is, and some are formed by water passing from the surface to the subsurface in the same manner in which a portal would be formed in the road. All right, and so each of these holes would have been formed individually, and at some point the water would have forced them to basically connect to form a cave system.
Although there's no water left in any of these holes today, Francois says that the landscape looked quite different 150 years ago.
All right, as sea level started to drop, the land started to basically advance into what would have been a lagoon. As that happened, it created a water table, and as that water table developed, and the sediments in the lagoon hardened to form rock, all right, that rock started to erode. The Bahamas is 98% limestone or calcium carbonate, which is a very porous or permeable rock, which basically means that's easily eroded by whether water or, of course, other chemical factors.
Oh, wow. Some very rich history there. I think I'm going to hide out in a cave probably after work just to meditate a bit, you know?
Actually check that out.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Well, it's been good hanging out with you.
Yes.
Charles Fisher's back tomorrow.
And you start vacation tomorrow. You want to take us with you?
Yeah.
And be sure to stay tuned into the ZNS Network for news as it happens, TV and radio updates throughout the day. Then you can tune into the Northern Edition at 6:30 and the Bahamas Tonight at 7. And that's it for us.
That's
this morning,
wrap.
Desmond.
It's been fun, but we've got to run.
Have a
Thank you
great
very
morning,
much.
everybody.
You're watching the ZNS Network, the People's Station.
In developing countries like the Bahamas, women make essential contributions